Hello, my beautiful friend. I'm Serenity Ravenwoff,
And I am Robert Hubbs.
and together, including you, we are Love Heals Humanity.
This is a really different show today because it's our last show of the year, 2022. Long, strange road this year has been, and I think today's topic is going to be a really, really good one. And I think it's really fitting given how much has happened in this year and in the past couple of years. And as we're looking forward to the holidays, this should be really important. So today's topic is how not to get your buttons pressed. I mean, let's face it, we're all going into a holiday, whether it's, Christmas for some or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or whatever your holiday season is. It's a time when we all get together with family, with friends, and sometimes it's a bit much.
And
So how don't you get your
if it's not too much for you, then you must know somebody who it's too much for. Would never be us, right?
Oh no.
And I find like as we're on our path of evolution and expansion, um, we become less and less in alignment because everything's just energy, and energy is just about alignment. It's either on like a light switch, and it feels light and right, or it's off. And while we're um, practicing the muscle of stepping out of judgment, loving our own hearts, um, expanding and evolving, many of our family may not be and probably aren't. They're the same old person that you're out of alignment before you started your journey. And I'd like to share just some of my experiences on how and Robert too, on how we've learned to be very okay showing up to family events, Christmas Day, Thanksgiving dinner, Christmas Eve dinner if you're in Europe, because Christmas Eve is more important than the actual day itself, and Hanukkah and whatever that is. And for me, it's a form of gratitude because other than what do you call it? Gone blank. Unconditional love. Like I toss between these scales. What's the highest vibration of all? Is it unconditional love or is it gratitude? And to me, when either one is present, they're pretty equal. You can't really have one without the other. If you're in either of those vibrations, your heart is more open if you're in gratitude. And gratitude is a great go-to. Now, what I mean by that is you can just say thank you. And I live the philosophy in life that I live other than the golden rule, which is do unto others as you would have done unto yourself in a similar situation, is I love, bless, and celebrate the essence out of the yummy juiciness out of everything.
Mm.
So that's in alignment with the topic of the show today, which is, for instance, I'm at the buffet table on Christmas morning or Hanukkah day or whatever it is that you're celebrating, and Auntie Jean says, Serenity, you look like you've put on weight since I saw you last. And in the past, I would have felt dreadful from the judgment that she just projected all over me through her filters and her stuff and her life experiences, yada, 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 and judgments of herself, first and foremost. And instead, I found that when I just thank Auntie Jean, thank you for sharing that with me, Auntie Jean, and she knows somewhere that it's a judgment, and she goes, well, what do you mean thank you? And sometimes they might even say, I was judging you. So, yes, I know, but you would only judge me from a place of love. So thank you for sharing that with me. And yes, I have put on a little bit of weight since last year. And thank you that you care so much about myself and my health and how I live my life that you would take the time to share that with me. Suddenly, Auntie Jean's judgment just absolutely dissolves, and we can have a very different conversation. And it's not, most of us are walking around in some level of our pain, our anguish, our suffering. And sometimes that can be so much for us, we don't know what to do with it. So we project that out onto others without even knowing. So if someone is spewing judgment all over me, I know that they have so much pain that they just don't, and anguish, that they just don't know what to do with it. And am I really, when I say thank you, saying thank you to the judgmental 3D, shrunk, not expansive, dense energy of Auntie Jean as the example, or would it be more supportive for me and expansive for me, and what I call the high road of unconditional love of the all there is, if I was speaking to Auntie Jean's divinity, which is more expansive, higher octave communication, and that's also in me. That is also in Auntie Jean. So do I want to communicate or respond or react to Auntie Jean's pain, anguish, or suffering? Or to Auntie Jean's divinity? And when I say thank you, I am absolutely communicating with Auntie Jean's divinity. And that allows Auntie Jean to shine more. And maybe, just maybe, every other conversation for the rest of the event, Auntie Jean is a little nicer and a little bit less judgy. It is very, very transformative, not just for yourself, but for those around us. And I find that in the beginning, it was a little bit hard for me to be thankful in these moments because I was always, triggered. And then I react, and that just escalates. Do you know what I mean? And then you just want to go home in like 5 minutes and maybe not even go next year. Where now I can just be and it's about this being the divine and loving presence for yourself first and foremost. And then that radiates and ripples out to everybody else, so that I can then be that presence for everybody else. And in that moment, when I'm communicating only with Auntie Jean's divinely loving presence, her divinity, it feels good for me too.
Yeah, and it's a hard thing for a lot of people to sort of wrap their head around. But if someone is being critical of me, and I don't mean critique, I don't mean offering me feedback or saying something truly out of love, because we've all been at a party and we had the crab cakes before we stepped into the room, and we've got death breath, and someone kindly says, yeah, you might want to brush your teeth or have a shot of mouthwash or whatever. That's one thing, but someone truly being critical, it doesn't come from a place of love. So I always think of it as what they need right now, because the best that they have got for me is criticism or condemnation or attack, let's say. What they need is not me to attack back, not me to fight back or push back. They need my love. And it's a hard thing sometimes to recognize that when you're being criticized, when you're being put upon, give back love. Not because any other reason, just then clearly, if that's the best they've got, they need my love. They need my caring. Mm-hmm. And in that process, you can't push my buttons.
No, from that vibration you can't. And I dropped on the screen there, Jackie, who is a nice regular viewer, who was very disappointed she missed the show live last week. Welcome, Jackie. Glad you're here live. We love having you here. And on that note too, and as I said a little while ago, is that people are usually coming from their pain, anguish, and suffering. And to the degree that they're judgy and rude and horrible and abusive, that tells you to the degree that they're coming from their pain, anguish, and suffering and being their own world's worst abuser. So in that moment, how does it support anyone or anything if we react from the passive aggressiveness that they've just spewed all over us? And it just doesn't. This vibration just shifts and transforms everything. I've even said to the summer before today, thank you for judging me. Well, what? They were expecting me to react, and I didn't. And I just went on and let them know just how much I cared for them and how much I know that they care for me. And the whole conversation went a very different path. And I know that in past years, this worked very, very, very differently.
Yeah.
And I'd like to say hi to Bob from Cape Coral, Florida. I'm in Australia, Robert's in Canada, so we are absolutely global. Yay! And I'd love it. What has been your experience when you've shown up to family events? Have you ever thought of and considered, how did it go? And then another question is, have you ever considered coming from the space of gratitude and thank you? Because at some point on our individual journey of evolution and collective, we hit that spot where there is only love is the only answer. It's the only solution. It's the love of the all there is, not the 50 shades of grey thing that humanity works with and assumes it to be. And you just live and bask and wallow like a happy pig in mud in this energy of gratitude, love and gratitude. And it is, I'm here to help bring about peace on earth. And to me, the path of love is the way forward for that. So really, even coming from that gratitude said with authenticity, knowing that if they didn't care about you, didn't love you in some way, they wouldn't care. They would just grab their food, look at you, judge anyway, and move on. So the fact that they've expressed something says to you, it's a great indication, but unfortunately they're coming from their pain, anguish, and suffering.
Yeah, yeah. And that's exactly, especially with so many things right now, easy to create division between people, even family members. It's so easy for things to come between all of us. And so often that we focus on what's different or separating us or challenging us or pulling us apart, rather than the commonalities, that shared humanity. It's so easy to focus on the differences when really we should and can focus on the commonalities.
We have, I hope I pronounce this correctly, we have the beautiful Anula, who's watching us from Switzerland. See, we're absolutely global. Love it, love it. Welcome, Switzerland.
Love it.
Definitely warmer here than in Switzerland right now. I'm in the subtropics. And on that point, Robert, too, it's, the commonality, until we all reach that space in our evolution that I mentioned a moment ago, where we just reach this expansive love of the all there is, and we're in there way more than we're not, and we're in prolonged periods of time in gratitude, and that's all we've got. That for me is juicy. It feels good. It's expansive. I feel spacious, and that is how I feel is the best way for me to just keep showing up like that. And I've made that choice, and I hope you join me, because it only takes one of us to make that choice. And the catch is, it takes all of us to make this choice.
Yes.
I believe that anything and everything that shows up in my life, on my path, before me, is purely the divine giving me the opportunity to be love. And I've shared this too before, so if I don't know in those, because sometimes even I am stunned at go back to Auntie Jean, what Auntie Jean just spewed all over me at the buffet table. Sometimes I don't know what love would do, be, or say, so I just ask the question, what would love do, be, or say right here, right now? And until I know what love would do, be, or say, the be is always just stand there as a divinely loving presence. And look upon Auntie Jean with love and just say, thank you. Or you could give what I call a gratitude sandwich. Thank you for sharing that, Auntie Jean. And I know that you're sharing that from a place of love. So thank you again for loving me the way that you do. Because we always remember what we first and last hear and what we hear the most. So you could say, thank you, Auntie Jean, for sharing something that is so important to you, or a topic that is so important to you. It felt a little bit more like a judgment though, but thank you for taking the care and time to share that with me, because it might actually be true.
Mm-hmm.
Gratitude sandwich is great. It's a great tool. The bit you put in the middle, you can put something nice and beautiful and fluffy and expansive in there, or you can put, though it felt a little bit more like a judgment.
And the thing that's important there is it works for everything. It works for that overt judgment. It works for the passive aggressive criticism. It works for people just being difficult, and you don't even have to say it to them. You can just have gratitude for where they are. Perhaps it's a family member who just doesn't want to talk to you, or an extended family member who you've never gotten along with, or more accurately, they've never gotten along with you or me or any of us. I don't have to say anything to them. I can just let the space between us be in my gratitude. I don't have to own it. I don't have to carry their pain or anyone's.
You don't even have to throw their hot potato that they just threw at you back at them. You know what I mean? It's just stand in the presence and space of that gratitude, and you have the choice whether you physically, verbally say something, whether it be in the form of just a thank you for sharing that, a gratitude sandwich, or just stand in the presence of love and connect with their divinity. That's
Mm-hmm.
that namaste statement of I
Yeah.
see and honor and feel and honor the divine seed and light that is in you, that is also in me.
Yeah, that is really critical. It took me a long time to learn to honor the fact that I can love someone that I don't like,
Yeah.
because they're not the same thing. Like I'm never going to be friends with this person. I'm not sending them Christmas cards. They're not coming over my house for dinner, but I can still love them. They're another human being, and that's okay.
And even our abuses and stuff, they say forgiveness is not for the other person. It's never
No.
condoning what they did. And please always make sure you are safe and in a
Yeah.
safe situation. Never go to the, was it the apathy of, oh,
Mm.
this must be part of my learning path. Never. Always make sure you're safe and you're treated with love and respect. Just had to say that. Um, but this works for even more than just at family gatherings. Like if your boss or a co-worker says something really, really judgy, you've got the choice to say something aloud, like we've just been sharing, or you can say it in your mind, or you can just choose to stand there and see the divine in them. Now, whether you say, even if you say absolutely nothing, if you are tuning into and connecting to their divinity and standing there as the divinely loving presence for them in this space where they're in pain and they're projecting the pain that they don't know what to do with, or are unaware that they even have it,
Hmm.
that can still absolutely positively change the entire situation.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a different experience for you. And in those moments that they are, whoever they are, being that, projecting this on you, in those moments that they're coming from their pain, anguish, and suffering, they deserve more love, never less. Let me repeat that important point. They deserve more love, never less. And in that moment, if you have any sort of resistance against that or problem with how they're showing up and being the divinely loving presence in return for them, in that moment, your beautiful, sacred little heart and inner little ones deserve more love, never less. First and foremost. And when we can be
Really,
that for ourselves, we can be that for others.
really great. Yes. And it works for everything. It works for every situation, because it works for our heart, our spirit. It works no matter what the situation, no matter who, no matter why, it works.
Yeah,
I think that's
Jackie shares a
fantastic.
point here. She says, last month my daughter went to school. She's 16. Her friend said, I don't like your new glasses. I said to her, she's not really a friend. Good point. Oh, goosebumps all over. Good point, Jackie, that in that moment your daughter could have said, thank you for sharing your interesting point of view. Thank you for sharing me a little bit more about knowing what you like and dislike. Like turn it
Mm.
regardless of how venomous it is and horrible and judgmental, you can turn it into a gift by coming from the place of love and gratitude. And gratitude is the key. It's just thank you. And if
Yeah.
we're struggling to, if our gratitude muscle is a little bit underworked, a little bit overweight, underworked, unfit, practice on inanimate objects. Walk past the door handle and say, thank you, door handle, for working so smoothly. Thank you, wall, for holding up my house. Thank you, flower in my garden, for sharing your beauty with me that makes me feel so good. Thank you, blade of grass, for being there and holding all the soil together so that I have a soft, springy feeling under my feet. I mean, it's really easy to practice on
Yeah.
inanimate things to work our gratitude muscle.
Hmm.
I'd love to hear in the comments below, either now or further beyond the show being live, have you ever practiced gratitude? Has using gratitude when you've used it, has it worked well for you? How did it shift, transform, transmute, change the situation, the vibe that was between you, the interaction?
And in what situations have you maybe not been able to use it before? Somewhere where you got your buttons pushed once, and now you see this new path to be able to be basically, you know, push proof your buttons with gratitude.
Yes, and and, and,
Where's
and
that happen?
and on another lines, just to pose another question that you can respond to is, do you see this working for you?
Hmm.
How do you see this will change interactions with people that in the past your buttons have been pushed?
Yeah.
And if not,
And
you
if
can
you're
just put
watching
yourself in some
this,
spiritual timeout. And that's what they're doing too, Robert. They're
yeah.
letting you know that they're asking for unconsciously spiritual, what I call spiritual timeout. And when someone expresses that they're requiring spiritual timeout, I'm very happy to give it to them. I'll share with love and gratitude first. I'll grab my meal from the buffet to continue the metaphor, and I'll just go over there and talk to somebody else.
And if you're watching this, during the holidays or after the holidays, or if something comes up for you, throw it in the comments. We'd love to hear what happened, what you did, how it went, maybe how it was different from the last time, how this has worked for you, or how it's going to work for you. We'd love for you to share
Yeah,
that with
and
us.
Jackie says, I always say thank you to God. And that is practicing the muscle. If you do that often,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what you're saying thank you to, Jackie, whether it be from your heart and or your mind and your prayers to God, or to the wall in your mind or out loud. It might be that there's a power about hearing your voice aloud say things. So if I encourage you, if you can, say loud. And if not, just thank everything. I thank a bird. I go for a walk and I could say thank you 500 times in the space of a 30-minute walk. I thank the sky, I thank the clouds, I thank, and this is like a meditation unto itself. Because when I
And,
finish my 30-minute walk and I do that, I feel expansive and light and what's it like light, spacey. You know that you get that spaciness when you get
yeah.
that sort of expansiveness.
And I don't want people to think you got to do that 500 times.
No,
Once,
I could
once, twice.
3 times. That said, I've practiced this a lot, so I can at least probably get it. 500 was
Yeah.
potentially an
Yeah.
exaggeration, but 50 times I can
Oh
easily
no.
do an. I thank everything, right, Robert?
Yeah.
People spew venom on me, and I say thank you. You know, it's like the JW lady that came around, and it's not my faith, and she was being very pushy about what was in her Bible, and the husband was laughing because I was just standing there in this love and gratitude, and was thanking her for sharing her interesting point of view. Have you read the Bible? I said, well, not to offend anybody, but I said, it's a lovely book of fairy tales. Meaning there's truth in that, just like there are in fairy tales. There's truth in everything. Is anything other than universal truths, the absolute truth. The sun rises and the sun sets. The wind exists. If God exists for you, that is a universal truth as well, but it might not be somebody else's.
Mm-hmm.
So I stood in there, and the husband was just laughing because she was absolutely floored, and left shortly after that, by the way. But I shared it from this space of love. Does anyone have any questions they'd like to ask? Because we're at the point of the show where I'd like to start winding it up towards the affirmations and the healing. Jackie says, you are so right. Oh, I do to myself loud when her daughter is at school. Why? Bring your daughter in. Make a game of it, Jackie. Highly recommend those around you saying, let's start a new game. We'll call it whatever you like. The gratitude game, or the expansiveness game, or the evolution game. Gratitude game is good. And see how many thank yous you can give. Thank you, refrigerator, for being there and keeping my food cold. Got one, Mum. And then you go, how do I play this game? Thank you, carpet, for being underneath my feet to keep them warm. Gotcha! Oh, she says, higher power, not God. And I'm at that, call it flying purple monkeys, I don't care. It's the same power. Creator, God, universe, source, flying purple monkeys. Would a rose by any other name smell as sweet? Absolutely. So I'd like to wind up with affirmations for today. If you just talk for a moment, Robert, to allow my airways, which are fluttering, that's hard. You know what?
As you know, there's no way I could possibly talk for a moment. I mean, I so have nothing to say. But what I would like to say is that, as we draw to a close of this year, I think a lot has changed for a lot of people, and there's been a lot of learning and a lot of opportunities for growth and dealing with the whole world in a new way. And I see so much more of that coming in 2023. And I just want to say to everyone, I'm so glad you're here today. And for all of you who've been on the show with us live every week and in the replays, we are so grateful and so blessed to have had you here. And I wish you all amazing things for 2023. And with that, I'll throw that back to you, Serenity.
I just need a moment of silence to allow my airways to have their way and cease.
Give them some gratitude.
I did. That's what I was doing while I'm quiet. I'd like to encourage you all too, for show topics next year. We'd love to hear what you would like to know more about. Because, Robert, anything along the lines of self-love, self-esteem, self-worth, I call it the selves, and definitely love is my topic, and any tips, tools, techniques, and we'd love to know, because we'd love to address your questions, your thoughts, your topics, something that is deeply close to home and your heart. So with that said, I'd like to request you to close your eyes and expand your energies out into the universes and beyond. And a feather will present itself to you in your mind's eye of any shape, color, or size. And as feathers do, it will gently drop down, 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 landing gently in the sacred space of your heart. I am the divine universe in human form. I treasure the moments of ease and appreciate the moments of challenge, for all support my loving empowerment. All of my choices have created this perfect moment. I forgive easily, for this creates rapid change. I appreciate all cycles of life. My true spiritual nature is divine, powerful, creative, loving, and wise. I am the catalyst that transforms all life, including myself. My ability to flow with the universe's natural laws is opening more and more. I am willing to be led by the universe. I emanate love, joy, complete presence, and openness toward all beings. All is well. Moving into the healing, and just before the show I was meditating and I started to create an energy ball as I tuned into you all. Oh, it feels like it's ready to just deliver. Woot woot. Nothing else to add. It's perfect as it is. So I'll just, from my open heart to yours, blow this like I'm blowing kisses, for it to land gently in the sacred space of your heart, to unravel and to share the vibration of that with your own heart and radiating out beyond you to your loved ones and community. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. That's right. Just there. I love you. I love you. I love you. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for this year's shows. I'm very excited for next year's shows, and depending on your topics, not sure if they'll be in the exact same format they are today, but we will definitely be back early next year. Haven't got a full time yet because I've got a family health crisis going on and I'd like to be present for them, so I'm not sure if I'm coming back sooner or later next year, but we will definitely be back early next year. And yes, Robert.
And my love to each and every one of you, and to everyone that you love, and to all your families, all your friends, and in fact to all humanity, because that's what we all need right now. Have a great 2020, rest of your 2022, and have a great start to your 2023, and we will see you here back again.
And happy non-denominational holidays for you. I love you.